We are recording. Yay. Right, so I thought this would be a good chance to do a little bit of a first test at doing a bit of a kind of TED Talk type thing. A really professional one, because I haven't even looked in the mirror and I'm covered in gravy. I've got migraine. So but I think the fact that we are kind of just being us and chatting about the things that we're trying to do and things that have happened this week, we're a bit more relatable, aren't we? I'd like to think. Either that or absolutely terrifying. So yeah, of the people, for the people, by the people. You can't get much more by the people than this, can you? Because we've all just jumped on after a hefty day planning and running meetings. It's just a bit of a chance to debrief, but because we're recording it, we can put this out and just see if people out there want to watch stuff like this, us chatting away and discussing the things that we're doing, if it maybe interests people into coming and joining the groups. So that's kind of the purpose. So I thought maybe I'd open up with just a quick recap on what we're going to do, because now we've got a little bit of funding to play with, thanks to the National Lottery, and huge thanks to the lottery and to the players of the lottery, because this is really what it's designed for. So we've managed to snadge a little bit so that we can develop our community groups and our education or online digital education platform. So what we're trying to do now is engage with the public, engage with groups to find out, so it can be very much user-led and person-led, what people want, what people need, so we can develop it from there. So we've got a list of groups that we've planned in for the month, from pregnant ladies and new mums, to men, to people struggling with depression, anxiety, to our youth tribes. There's quite a few things that we're going to try and cover. And Lindy's putting her clothes on rather than taking them off. That doesn't help. You do like a reverse strip.
There's a fast for everything.
So yeah, so that's where we're at. Just so that anyone that's watching gets a bit of a sort of a history of where we're up to. So this week we've had. Should we start off with just discussing the mums one from this morning, which is sort of a light one, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about how far we've got with the Black Dog Project.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this morning. Like what I liked about it was we had 4 mamas, we had 2 doulas, we had 1 pregnant lady, and then we had 1 lady who was a mama but also works in pregnancy support. And it was just a really nice mix of everyone, because for the most part a lot of people were strangers. There wasn't a lot of overlap.
No.
Yeah, I really liked there was a conversation about form in essence, about the form being the physicality of what you want within your, like, a birth plan, and the essence being how do you want to feel, and sort of differentiating between the two. And there was quite a big discussion about birth plans and stuff, which I thought was quite an interesting way of looking at it, like what do you want to happen and how do you want it to feel. Separate.
We never had that. I didn't, and I'd said that. I don't know whether you did, but I'd never had that kind of advice when I was doing my birth plans. It was more about the whole physicality. What drugs do you want? There was never any sort of conversation about what are the important emotions. How do you want to feel? I thought that was really cool that that's starting to be discussed.
I did it a little bit with Luna, but not described to me as, what do they call it, the birth continuum?
Birth continuum, yeah.
Which I thought was a really nice way of describing it. I really liked, there was one thing that got said, behind every fear is a wish, but I thought, I know they were talking very much about labour. They're like, oh, I'm really scared about a cesarean, or I'm really scared about X, Y, Z. But behind that is because you want to flip side. There's a desire behind it, is because you actually really want this, or you don't want a cesarean section.
I suppose that's relevant then everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was a really, really nice way of looking at it. I thought it's also, in terms of sort of psychology, you can really apply that to any fear or any anxiety, really. If you say, I don't want this relationship, I don't want this person to leave me, that's because you're desiring that particular relationship. So it gives you a really good positive mental health sort of route of going, okay, rather than pursuing the fear, I can pursue the wish.
And so maybe that's something we can run through all the different groups. That's something, I'm assuming that we'll get takeaways from each of the groups we run that kind of think, oh, we can use that there, we can cross over with that. But I thought it was I thought it was really, really lovely, and a good feedback as well, even though it was a small group. Like you said, they were like all over. There was one lady that was abroad. She was in somewhere, Copenhagen, was it? Yeah. There
was one lady down south.
London, yeah.
And then there was Wales, and in the northwest.
Yeah, so and that was mentioned as well, wasn't it? That normally you'd go to your local village and you'd meet the women that were in your village, whereas this is kind of opens it up, doesn't it, digitally? So I thought it was brilliant. Loved it.
Really good.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that cropped up that was. I think one of the because we asked the question, didn't we? What do you think? Is this useful? Would you like to see more spaces? And everybody said yeah, they'd like to see more sessions. And one of the mums said the most important thing for her was just having a space with other adults that you can just, and she was wandering around, wasn't she? She had to go and do something, and there was no pressure. She could be, with being online, you can nip out of the room, you can mute yourself, you don't have that luxury in a physical setting. You have to get up the courage to walk into a room full of other mums to start with. Then you've got the pressure of, you know, feeling inadequate in all kinds of different ways and trying to measure up. But this, you don't actually have any of that, do you? You can take yourself off. You said it, didn't you, Lynn? You can just, you want to walk out.
Yeah, like if any sessions becoming too overwhelming, or you just kind of, obviously we're living in really weird sort of unprecedented times at the moment, and life has become quite overwhelming, especially because you've got so much time to sort of dwell on it, that you can just sort of go, do you know what, I'm just going to leave. And you don't have, there's no etiquette, there's no like expectation that you have to go, goodbye everybody, and hug. And you're like, actually I'm just going to turn this off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Joanne did is it Joanne? No, who gave me feedback? Oh no, it was the lady that had come that lives near me, and she works with 10 years with women and mums, and she gave us some really good feedback, which I'll share with you. One of the things she said was she had a friend that was going that said, oh, this sounds brilliant, but I'm sure they don't want my screaming kids hanging around, so she didn't come along for that reason. So this is our ideal opportunity to call out to all the mums out there, bring your screaming kids along, because you can press mute if you want to. It's the only time you can actually do that in a mum and baby surrounding. So I'd hate the thought of anybody thinking, oh my god, I could really do with this, it's to be a lifesaver, but my kids are
any of the groups as well, especially as like pregnant and mums, this is the group where kids are expected.
It is, and I think the more screaming babies we can get, the better. We can just, like you say, and at least you've got some support, and you've got other mums in the room with you, and you're not completely on your own with it. So I don't know how we can get that message across other than sharing something like this when we're talking about it, to say that it is literally.
I made you cry once as well.
I cried. Can you believe that? I actually cried. Lindy showed a little video about solidarity in mums, all different backgrounds. And, you know, if you are a mum out there watching, you'll know this, and we'll probably play it again. I think it's important to play it a couple of times. Mums in different cliques. And imagine me back in the day when Callum was born, that's what, 21 years ago, it was like mum and toddler groups, God, that woman out. I did feel that. So you do have the different mums that sort of group together, and there's a lot of judgment, and there's a lot of stress, and there's a lot of guilt and inadequacy and feeling like you're doing it wrong. Even if you're in a supportive group, don't you still feel like you're getting it wrong. It's such a weird experience, but you do see all the little clicks, and the video is brilliant because it showed all of that in a really humorous way, but then it showed the fact that when it comes down to it, the mums are mums, aren't they, and they'll all come together. I was like, that, oh god, I've got to talk again in a minute, I'm leaking water, I need to pump.
I knew I showed you it beforehand because I was gonna, and then I was like, oh, just put it on later.
I was watching it, I was like,
and then I came on back on, I stopped sharing my screen and came back on, and she's in streams. She was just
I was trying not to watch the last one. I was thinking, I know what's going to happen now. It's going to make me go. I'm like, oh, think of something else. But it's good because it kind of brings that authenticity to it, doesn't it? And I could see a couple of the mums like that as well. So it wasn't just me being soppy.
No.
But I think it's a good one to keep sharing as well as new people come in. And I can see that group, similar to the other groups we've done, becoming peer mentors. You know, I can see anyone who's in there now and kind of gets that bit of strength through it. As new mummies drop in, sort of sharing a bit of knowledge and a bit of wisdom. I like the fact that there's pregnant, like you said it as well before, there's pregnant women and new mums. And I don't know what everyone thinks, but keeping that is a good thing, I think, if we can manage that, because then you'll carry on when you've had your baby and everyone can celebrate that. And then
in the same group with the same people.
Yeah. And we were talking about that as a potential difficulty if we have, because I mentioned the fact that like my brain goes off, I'm thinking, oh my god, but what about dads, and what about mums of teenagers, and what about mums of kids in school, homeschooling, and there's so many different versions of parents. But I think we can just have different groups, but that particular group, pregnant mums and new mums,
I think sort of like pregnant and new mums is a really it's a really, really important one, because pregnant mums, even when you've had kids before, you know, when you go like when it's like second or third time, you still sometimes go back into that, oh my God, what about this?
Yeah,
Totally
totally.
forgot about this. And you kind of, you want to ask someone about it. You don't always want to ask someone that knows you. You don't want to go, Mum,
No.
your tits feel right. Like,
Yeah.
your nipples get a bit itchy at this point. Sometimes it's nice to ask sort of a neutral person that is kind of in the same boat going through it. Like, did you get, does this? And so I think sometimes having that neutral support too. But if you're with a group of like people at the same stage as you, it's nice. But it's nice to have people who are just that little bit further ahead as well. That peer mentoring. Like we had that one lady sending a book to another lady. They met today on Zoom.
That was brilliant. I just wanted to do a high five.
And I was just like,
it was cool. We should have got them to actually share. We should have got her to just pass the book so we could have filmed that little bit. We see if they'll do that next week so we can put it into a little compilation. That would be cool. And, no, I think that was really good. Really empowering, really good feedback, something we can develop. I think our only challenge is where to find the mums, because I know there's, we've shared on groups where there's tons of mums, whether it's because I'm just spamming at the moment, I'm sharing so much content, it might be getting lost. Maybe we need video like this to be able to see that.
Social media it's been a very weird week for social media. And we've only recently built this stuff out, and I think people are engaging with the focus, because we did have quite a lot of engagement with the pregnant mum ones.
Yeah, we did. I wonder whether we can get in touch with local midwives. I mean, we've got a specific focus on Wales for the lottery, but we can go as far afield. But midwives, health visitors, there must be some organisations that we can hit up to send women our way.
Yeah,
that's something we can do.
Yeah, I have other thoughts on that one, but I think it's just been an odd week for social media. I think it's just one of them things. All new groups take time to build. But I think it'll be one of the really popular groups.
Yeah,
it's
I do.
It's going to take a little bit of time to get your baseline through, which take.
Got a good feeling about that, and I think Joanne's going to be a great facilitator for that one as well. She's good at holding those kind of spaces, isn't she? She's
always really good, even when she's being quiet. You know that she's monitoring everyone else in the group. I really like that, because I've watched her do it with some of the other groups that we facilitate, and watch how she manages it. And every now and again she'll just come up with this curveball question. You're like, oh yeah, she's been paying attention.
Yeah, she's
completely missed.
Yeah, she's so on the ball, isn't she?
She's brilliant.
So what about Black Dog Project? Anybody watching? We've had our Black Dog Project for 3 years now, but it's just been a page that we've been able to just put up there for people who just might need a bit of support. We share some regular content that might help, helplines, positive content, and we've got the inbox that's used relatively frequently. If people are reaching crisis point, they can inbox, and there's usually an admin at the end of there to help. We already had a plan to develop that anyway before lockdown, so we were looking at various ways to be able to get a weekly session going, so that we could, well, that was going to be very sort of geographic, wasn't it? It was going to have to start off close to me in Flintshire and see if we could get one maybe with Inch up in Birmingham, and look at getting Kitty miles away doing one near her, and then you guys doing one towards Liverpool. That was the kind of plan, but that was only ever going to reach so many people, however many people we could fit into small spaces to come and have a cup of tea, biscuit, just talk if you want to, or don't talk if you don't want to. So what do you think about the fact that we can do it virtually now that we've had one session and we've had one meeting about it? Any thoughts?
I think we're going to have a lot more people, aren't we? Because, as you say, because it is digitally, loads of people can jump on from wherever they are in the world, not even just in the country, and hopefully it will benefit a lot more. As you say, the little groups within different areas, you might have got like one or two.
Yeah, I think that we raised the point as well, didn't we? It's going to be much easier for people who are, it usually goes hand in hand. If someone's suffering with anxiety, that the very thought of going into a group is going to stop people from doing that in the first place, whereas you can join and there's no pressure. And again, this is a kind of call out to people when you're watching this, there is no expectation to engage in any way or to do anything. It's literally, we're going to set every Tuesday, every Monday even at 2:00, unless people decide they want it changing. We're just going to have that space open, and you can join without your camera, without your audio, and just hang out. So there's other people chatting, and there's some good sort of proactive advice and things that were shared on the chat on Monday. It might be that we have a session where it's literally just chatting on something about music or whatever the group wants it to be, but there's never going to be any pressure. It's not like sit in a circle, everyone introduce yourself, and none of that. So I hope it would be easier to access than a physical group might be. And we're going to bring in people like Dr. Mark, and obviously Kitty's running it and she's got so much experience. And we've got a new admin Marcy, that's coming on board to help. So we're looking at building it to get the right people, being able to offer the right kind of help and advice, as well as peer mentors that have got lived experience. Any other thoughts or takeaways from this week? It's very early days, isn't it? But what we're thinking.
I think reassurance has been the thing with the Black Dog Project. I think there's a lot of many people mentioned it in our groups and our meetings that, you know, it's about reassuring people that it is a safe space, and about, like you said, not feeling put on the spot. So like, I wanted to, you know, I think as well, not everyone understands Zoom. So something like this, I can just like literally change my name to something like this, and turn off my. Well, you'll have to forgive like my picture now. It's like my work profile picture, but I could change it to just like a smiley face or like a cartoon. You know, you could come in completely anonymous, still speak if you wanted to, still engage again if you wanted to, or turn your microphone off and not at all, and just listen to maybe some of the advice that gets picked up. And again, even with Zoom, you don't have to even have an account. If you use it on a desktop, you don't even need to have a login detail for it.
I think I've enabled something actually. You'll have to have a look for me, Lindy, and see. I'm sure I enabled something in settings, because it mentioned that, saying enable something so that if people don't have a Zoom, it's easier for them to get in. So whatever
I think if you're on a phone, I think you have to log in on a phone, I seem to remember. But I'm pretty certain when you're on the desktop, you just have to follow the link. So you don't even have to register on Zoom. It should be just follow.
That could be a barrier, couldn't it? If people aren't on Zoom or don't want to be on Zoom, then that could be a bit of a barrier. But well, I've said this before, because I was always thinking, well, how can we hit every single person with what they need? But we can't do that. So we have to just do what we can possibly work with, and this seems to be the safest and most secure way to do it.
That it is a safe space, and that there are options there for as much or as little engagement as they want.
Yeah, I mean, we've said this all along, haven't we? We're recording now because when we do these management style meetings, or if we get some guest speakers in and do TED Talks like this, or when we do our podcast, that's going to be for information purposes, and so that we can be really transparent and we can kind of engage people within the development process, because we're chatting about things as we would in a meeting to develop what we do, and then maybe we can get people throwing ideas in and saying, oh, just listen to that, what about this, because that's what we want. But the actual groups themselves won't be recorded. It will be completely safe space where it is, you know, it is what it is. It's therapeutic environment without us offering therapy, I suppose, because Kitty made that point before. We're in the middle of setting our boundaries now so that we know what we can offer and what we don't offer, and we are that bridge. Kitty puts it really well. We'll get her to come on and do a specific, you know, chat for the Black Dog Project at some point. We can't offer and we can't replace your doctor or therapy or medication, but we seem to fill that gap that a lot of people come to us and say, you know, after hours and when I'm feeling like this, there's no in between. So if we can fill that gap and have some experienced people, whether that's because they work in the field or they have lived experience, just to buffer and then signpost people and help them through sort of transition. And some people maybe will just need that, and then they'll be able to manage whatever they're going through with that support. And some people, it might be a, you know, transitionary thing on their way to something else, and we can help signpost them and connect them. But I do think that that's going to be maybe something we need to look at in terms of, if we do end up having big groups, how do we manage big groups? And like you said before, Meg, about people could join from all over the world. So what if there is no support for anybody in these difficult times, and word spreads that there is an online platform, and we end up getting lots of people starting to drop into our Zoom chats because we post the links live? There could be then difficulty in how we separate things out. So that's where rooms comes in. So just set up rooms. Maybe we'll have a certain topic each week and see if people want to suggest what you fancy chatting about this week, or maybe we'll just have a speaker or some kind of, you know, breathing exercises one week. I don't know. We have to ask people, tell us what you want, tell us what you think it could be, and you know, whether it needs to be small groups and we shouldn't let it go any bigger, and maybe, you know, we just need to then, if it goes past a certain number of people, do we just set up a different session, try and manage it that way.
I think it's also worth noting, especially for people that are thinking, oh well, it might be good for someone but probably not for me. Don't let yourself believe that it's not for you to be in these online sessions, because you only have to have that tiny bit of intrigue to be able to come on and just be like, I'm just going to see what it's about, because you never know, it could be exactly what you need. Like even for us, before lockdown, we were on our phones and we try and do video calls, but having these meetings in these rooms is making us kind of interact a lot more, and it's so much easier to read off people than when you're on like these calls, like facial expressions. You can still read body language. It's going to be so much easier if you have that.
Yeah, actually, that's really interesting what you said about the reading people and body language. That's come up in several groups. It came up today in the mums group. Someone's like, it's nice to hear people in real time. But in the one of the other groups, the sunflower group, there's a couple of people, and some of them have met each other prior, some of them haven't. In fact, one of them hasn't met anyone so far, I think, in person anyway, but they've been coming regularly and they've built up a rapport, and everyone worries for everyone else and everyone remembers everyone else's, like if someone's got an appointment, there's always this care, and it's got to the point now where they can recognize each other's sort of behavior and management. They're like, such and such isn't feeling right today, they're behaving differently, and they've started to show that level of concern, which is just so needed at this time. We need people to kind of go, you're not yourself today, are you okay? Which you wouldn't pick up if you
words. Like there's a lot of things in life which are just 3 small words that can have so much meaning, and are you okay is one of those phrases, and it just holds so much punch. It's like, it's amazing.
That's the beauty of peer mentoring, and that's what all groups are about. We can't grow as an organisation with just a small team facilitating everything. That's not what we want. We want to be able to create these spaces, but then have them grow and develop, and have people that, it's peer mentoring, that's what it's all about. It is each one teach one, my friends. That's what we're doing. So yeah, I think there's lots of work to be done on that one, and I think there's so many different subjects within subjects with each of the groups. I think that's our biggest challenge that we've got, is trying to make sure we can connect the right people together, we engage people properly so that they understand what we're trying to do, and that it's safe spaces, and that they're more than welcome to just dip it. And that was something that was mentioned actually for the Sunflower Project when we first started it. Is it okay for people just to come once and then not come for a bit and then come back, or will they get kicked out? For me, that was like, of course not, but that's what happens in a lot of spaces, isn't it? It's like, well, you have to attend, and the pressure's there. So we said, no, you can just pop along for half an hour of the first one, and then, you know, if people are going through their journeys in various ways, there might be times where you cannot be present at something and you don't want to be there, but you should never feel that if you miss a few sessions, oh, I can't go back to that now. It's just literally drop in when you need it. And
it's also, if someone thinks, well, do I really want to be sitting listening to other people kind of just chit chat about stuff? Each of the sessions will also, it's worth saying, it's also got some form of underlying like structure. So even if we do all have like mini conversations in between things, it's always going to come back to the whole reason why you wanted to attend that session in particular too.
I think that's important, isn't it? Because we'll have a plan. We're not just going to press go on Zoom and see what happens. We wanted to feel like that to a certain extent, because it helps create that safe space in it, and we do want the groups to direct the tone, so it's not just us telling people what to do or how to feel, it's finding out what people are feeling and trying to work with that. But at the same time, it does, like you say, have to have some structure. So we'll be busy meeting and chatting, working out what kind of flow we want for each group. But that's not to say that when we start a group, if it goes in a different direction, this again is Joanne's really good at this one.
I was just thinking, Joanne's like,
we have a plan, but if something goes in another direction, the worst thing you can do, and I think this personally in a therapeutic environment, and I work a lot, as you know, with young people, and there's lots of difficulties and different challenges within that. If you're trying to sort of create a safe therapeutic environment, you want to help somebody, if you have a set plan and they start to deviate from that and want to talk about something that they really need to express, and you go, well, stop that, because I have a plan and you've got to follow my conversation.
Yeah, but it's like, if you can sense like a certain topic is sort of coming to kind of a nice like ending zone, it's being able to drop those little kind of, here's a question.
Get
a conversation to flow back again. Then it's
definitely. And that's us as facilitators, we've got to be able to get that skill built and try and work with that. And I think it was Kitty, it might have been Joanna, I can't remember. We've had lots of meetings this week. It said we need to, I think it might have been Kitty actually, make sure we bring it back at the end of a session. It's important. It was Kitty, wasn't it? At the end of a session, have something ready as a takeaway piece of homework, something more positive. So if we get into some deep, heavy stuff, as well as everything else, we've got the breakout spaces. So if something comes up that somebody really wants to discuss, somebody else in the group's going, oh, I don't want to even go there. Fine, one or the other.
So sorry. I think someone's just come to the door. Bear with me, I'll be back.
Lucky that's not my dog, otherwise it would have been there.
Good job it's on Zoom, because you can just do that. You don't have to leave the house for delivery.
So handy, isn't it? Well, yeah, that is probably something that people will be thinking. So maybe we can kind of address that one. That if people want to come and they want to speak about something, and let's say we've got a group setting and somebody wants to talk about something that they're going through that's really bothering them, and they feel safe enough to do it and they want to have a chat. So that conversation opens. If there's somebody else in the group that feels instantly triggered by that and does not want to be part of that conversation, people need to know that they can speak about what they need to speak about, and they've got the support there without restriction, unless they're going to be offensive, of course. But at the same time, they're in a safe space. So if they feel like they don't want to be part of that, mute, turn your camera off, step away for a bit. Kitty, I think, made the point that if there's maybe a trigger warning and somebody's talking about a subject that might be potentially tricky, we'll put in the chat. If you want to step away, just step away for 10 minutes. We'll put in the chat when that topic's covered, or we could have the breakout space rooms to be able to say, right, something's come up to talk about this. If anyone wants to chat about that, one facilitator's going to go in that room and have a little conversation about that, and we'll chat about other things. That's where we are with that, I think.
The sunflowers is a topic, a group, and even though it's about living with serious illnesses, the topics are vast. I think we've all learned each other's entire histories, our heritage. I know all about one of the ancestries of one of the members, and it's great. It's like we share loads, and we all do. It's been a very shared experience, but it does mean that on any given day, even though you come in with your plan, and me and Joanna will have an idea of how we're gonna, some of the more creative things that we're gonna teach or discuss, it can go left, right, back again into a full circle, do a loop-de-loop, come back in for an hour later, and we're down, the yellow brick road, and we're not in Kansas anymore.
It's called the Corona Coaster, right?
It's great.
Corona Coaster.
Yeah. So it's like it's sort of being prepared for. It's great, and I love it, because I love the fact that it's not just coming in with having a coffee morning and just going, so how was your dinner? It's while the conversation might start that way, you always get something really meaningful from it. But yeah, one day, and then some days we've had to abandon some of the more creative things to discuss the things that people want to talk about, because of this is why it's person-led. But it's great. It's an adventure.
I suppose that's the other part as well, that we're going to try and link in with some creative aspects. I don't know whether that will be something that we do with all of the groups or just some of the groups, but one of our best skills, the way we do things, is to use creative arts therapy. So we might bring things to the group, say, right, this week we're all going to go with this, or here's some homework to do and have to play with that. Why are you all laughing? Did I freeze then?
No, I think I was thinking of my paint project.
I was laughing.
Oh, okay.
It's like thunder and coming up the stairs.
You were literally all laughing at me at the same time. I'm like, oh.
Sorry, I just heard, and it was
Were
here.
you just laughing at them, Meg? Were you just laughing at them laughing?
Yeah.
I was laughing at a private joke of my own.
But, well, maybe that's something you can share to inspire some creative vision for the group, or maybe not by your face. Let's say no to that one. You knocked her over.
I didn't even push out.
That is shocking behaviour, isn't it? Because we're on record, we're being professional. It's the TED Talk. Even though I'm covered in gravy and Meg's doing a Rambo impression.
I've got brown sauce on my jumper.
Yay, see, we're all in there. What's going on with you? You're just perfect today. Brown sauce. We couldn't find our brown sauce. We were having tea and everyone wanted brown sauce. Have you got it?
I think I stole it.
The brown sauce.
It was really good. It was on my sandwich.
Are you joining us?
Right. Come and join us. This is like, I don't know. So yeah, what I was thinking then was, if maybe we can, if people want to, because sometimes it's a bit heavy going, just coming and talking. And sometimes the best ways to facilitate conversations is to do what we've been doing and just say, today we're going to do something a bit creative. Have you thought about this? And have that as ways to develop the conversations, perhaps.
I like Joanne's games.
I've missed some of these sessions, so I don't know, but I know she's very, very good at what she does.
And yeah, she curveballs you. And even though I'm one of the facilitators, She cares for me. I'm like, where did that come from?
Is that?
Let's go with
See,
that
I wonder whether you could pick up, because Joanne's not necessarily involved with the Black Dog Project. She's got a lot of other things that we need to get involved with, but there might be things that you pick up in those sessions that you think, oh, we could possibly bring that to a different group. Maybe not some things, but that could be helpful.
Yeah, there's definitely been some things that, like, she's definitely one that I glean from every week, and I'm just like, oh, that's a little nugget. And I'm writing that one down.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, she's definitely very interesting to work with.
She is indeed. So I think as long as people out there know, because when we put this out as a recording, it's probably one of the important things is that you're being with the Black Dog Project still, you'd be in a safe space to discuss things and work through things that you need to work through in confidence, in a really safe space. But at the same time, if something feels uncomfortable to you and you don't want to go into detail about a subject, you equally take yourself off for a little bit and come back, and you don't have to talk about things. So we've just got to get that balance right between not closing down important conversations that people need to happen, but not having anybody feel uncomfortable at the same time. So I guess that's something for us to work on and ask for feedback on that, but it'll be the safest space that we can, that we can create to help.
It's the first week, isn't it? So they're only going to progress from here.
Yeah, and it was all quite soft. We were just chatting, weren't we, this week? We were just chatting away about things that might come up and the way people might want things to go, and Dr. Mark gave us some good ideas, and I think it'll just grow week on week.
I've received feedback from someone who attended, and they said that they're going to take a lot from this week, and yeah, it was.
That's good, and that was the first week.
Exactly.
That's
what we want. Sorry, go on.
No, just going to say what would be nice when, obviously, as it builds, like you guys were saying, the more it builds, the more people, and that's the hope, right? And what would be nice is that week on week, you can then maybe at the end of the session when you're doing a wind down, you can give people like okay, well, next week, how about over this week you have a look at this, and next week come back and that's what we can discuss.
Kitty said that, I think, didn't she? That was
it'd be nice. Or like everyone go and find like a certain thing that helps you during this situation, and then it's like a swap and share, isn't it? That's like,
or take a picture of something that you've seen on a walk or something.
Joanne's been doing similar with the other group with certain little bits of homework, and sometimes it's a very creative thing, sometimes it's more no, it's always creative, it's just sometimes it's more artsy, sometimes it's more writing stuff down,
like reflective,
journaling. Cool. So has anybody else got anything groups wise? I know we've only had those 2 little pilot tests on this week. We've got a whole schedule set up for June. Anyone, any comments about the groups that we've got planned in that we want to work on?
I'm gonna look at it. Sure.
Or do we have a think about, do we do another one of these when we've done some more groups and make them specific to those ones? We've got youth tribe, we've got disabilities, we've got men's space, we've got brides who've had to cancel their wedding during this time, which is a huge big wrench. We've got, what else have we got? Parents with children who have additional needs. We've got a fair few groups that we're going to work with, and and for me, I think we're just going to, the same as we've done, just open the space, have an idea of how we want it to look, but then let anybody who joins shape that, because it's the group that need to get the most benefit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be one of them. It's going to be very person-centered, isn't it? And it's just going to have to see how it transpires to a degree.
I think the connections people make more than kind of anything. I think that's what I'm really excited to see, how that all kind of comes together.
I did myself some notes that I'll share when we have our team meeting anyway, but I was thinking about maybe how things might cross over, because obviously we are doing content for our Soul School as well. So as part of our education, we're doing like basically what Soul School is like a life school. So we're doing content that will be on that platform for people to access. So of course, if people need it, we can be giving access to the group members and say, listen, if you try, go and have a look at that course and learn that skill there. So we can really cross that over. And then I thought perhaps we could do the Mums and Babies group, for example, could cross over with a general wellbeing, creative wellbeing session, or the Black Dog Project, or beginners IT. If someone says, oh, I really can't get my head around this, then maybe they can jump on Rob's and do some IT to get them used to Zoom. Choir, when Leslie sets up the choir, maybe someone will go, oh, I miss me singing. And so I think there's loads and loads of crossovers. Same with the men's, when we do the music groups, the IT, the Black Dog. We can start the groups off, but then constantly let each group know that there are other groups at different times. Maybe we need to have a schedule constantly up why don't you dip in that one, or why don't you go to that one, and see if we can cross them over rather than keeping everything all separated out. So we can develop that as we go, can't we? So we have been on for a little while now, so we'll probably wrap up soon, but does anybody want to make any comments or have a little discussion about current affairs and social media and stuff that we've been looking at today? Is that a topic of conversation that we want to...
Everyone's side.
Yeah, this is just shite, isn't it?
I had a massive online argument with some guy in work today. The same. That's what I did with today's issues.
Mm.
Yeah. I've had a few arguments today. Well, not so much arguments. I've challenged a few people.
Yeah.
On Facebook today.
That's why I was like,
Challenge. Well, put it this way, me and Andy both challenged someone. It was actually on the same thread.
Yeah.
It was one that a local MP had posted something, and several people had commented, all lives matter. I responded to one person, responded to someone else, and our approaches were very different. I used the analogy of a house being on fire, and people go, my house too. It's like, well,
Yeah.
why is your house more important than the one that's
That
already on
house at the
fire?
moment, yeah.
Like, all it says is that house on fire doesn't matter. If you're more worried about fortifying your house that's not burning, let's take care of what's in crisis right now. And I spoke that. The woman came back with some, she accepted, she was like, yeah, fair enough, okay, yeah, I see that. And we left it on a positive, and it was really nice. Andy called someone an idiot.
Well, that's the difference between how you would deal with it and how Andy would deal with it. But passions are high though, aren't they? And people have got, that's the tough thing, isn't it? About everybody having their different opinions. But then for me, when it comes down to it, in situations like this, it's what matters that matters. And you've got to kind of get past all of the BS that you have to kind of navigate, and all the, you know, it just seems like this, none of the sort of the arguments should be happening, because that's not the point.
Yeah, I think it's got past the point of being passive now, and it's really hard to kind of, especially as an organization, like, we don't want to be passive. In fact, we want to stand against it, but it's doing it in a way that's
isn't aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. We're not an aggressive company, but
we like to challenge perceptions, and we like to have clever conversations that make people think compassionately and not aggressively, like you say, but make people think about their own assumptions and their own beliefs, and maybe with the hope that people will then start to think differently. That's all we can do as an organisation, isn't it?
Well, I can't even remember who it was by. I think it actually might have been Martin Luther King, who said, like, the time for intelligent conversation has passed, because look at where we're at. I'm going to have to mute myself because he's going to walk in and start singing.
How to shut Lindy up? Andy just walking in the room.
Andy.
Get out and stop singing.
Just cause him trouble wherever he goes.
I think what it's important for us as an organisation to put out is that we are standing on the side of change.
Yeah.
We are not standing on their side of the oppressor in whatever situation it may be. Guaranteed, we all know what the situation is right now, but whatever the situation may be, we do not stand on the side of the oppressor, and that is what we need to show as an organisation, and that's where we stand. I
was slightly off the topic of what's been going on today's in the news and whatnot, but I was talking to Jane before about I was writing up something, and it's something that's an opinion I really don't hold. Andy, can you not for a second?
What, Andy?
That wasn't you.
And so I'm trying to write this thing of where it's like, I know what my very, very strong opinion is on it, but I can't write my very, very strong opinion, because that's not that I can't speak as that as that's not our collective voice. So I'm trying to write things that is more inclusive and compassionate and understanding, whereas at the same time I'm just going to go, but you're wrong.
And it's so personal to you. I mean, this will come out when this piece comes out. It'll make sense. But I was reading it and thinking, God, that's brilliant, because you've covered all the things that people will need to know, and it's a really, really important piece. But at the same time, you're now reflecting on you're having to critically assess. You're having to look at the other perspective as objectively as you possibly can, even though you're very passionate about the subject. That's such a hard thing to do, but
really hard on.
Yeah, it is hard, but if the only thing we do as an organisation is share that skill, or get people to try and think about that, about their opinions, then that's a job well done, isn't it?
I've actually been very honest in my writing. I've actually said, you know, I've posed the question, gone, actually, this is a really tough one. I'm actually not going to talk about my personal feelings about this, because I shouldn't have to diminish that I have them feelings. But it's not the arena to talk about that. However, that being said, this is something more proactive than me just going, nah.
Yeah, just blaring out, which everyone wants to do, and that's everyone out there. We have this periodically. We have that if we put out something that's a difficult subject, and we try and do it as delicate as we can, with the view that if we don't talk about it, no one else is going to talk about it. So we have to do something, and then we automatically will get a certain level of backlash, whether that's a very small amount or a big amount. We'll do it anyway, because that's the whole point. Sometimes is to challenge that a little bit. Look at you trying to hide your child in the background. You see him.
I'm not. I like that. No matter, like, you know what? I've how many Zoom meetings have I had like today? They've been fine, and how everyone's like, "How's recording?" Like he's just walking in after a shower, just like,
yeah, great.
I'm gonna just start spraying some animals. I'm just like.
It's what's going to happen when you're recording, isn't it? That's why we're such professionals. This is what happens. It's real life, so I'm hoping people will like it.
It also shows what it's like on Zoom meetings though as well. And the good thing about what you did before when Andy walked in is you muted, and that just shows that you can do that.
Imagine if we had my laptop ever so slightly more this way.
Imagine if we had an actual physical board meeting and Andy just walked in a towel and started spraying.
To be fair, he has a history of this, not during board meetings, but I was, when I was in France, I was having a FaceTime Zoom chat with a friend, and I was at the side of the pool, and I was just like, just catching up, and he just appears from behind me, and I wasn't really aware he's there, and then just strips to go swimming, and the only reason I realised was when she started screaming, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry!
That's one way to find out. Oh my goodness me.
That was, it turns out that's the effect he has as well.
Maybe women screaming and running. So I think we'll call it a day in a bit, because I know I literally haven't been off Zoom since about 9 o'clock this morning. But it's all important conversations, and this helps us to develop as well. So hopefully when we put it out there,
been on Teams a few times.
Yeah, we have been on Teams. That's true. We'll be able to put it out there and maybe get some feedback, and it might be better for people out there on social media land to see a video and see us chatting rather than just the pictures and the words that we keep posting. So I'm hoping that's the case anyway. And
I hope as Andy's proved as well, like you don't have to worry about coming on with screaming children, because, you know, I'll probably have a screaming husband at some point who just likes to come on and make a noise, like, you know, anything goes. Literally, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Bring the screaming kids, bring the screaming husbands and partners. It doesn't matter, does it? The good thing about Zoom, just put or you could just take a picture of yourself looking really super professional and use that as your screensaver. And then people would think, gosh, she's so still. Why should she not move through the whole thing? And then you can just be doing whatever you want in the background. That's another option. Yeah, that's gosh, Lindy's looking so pale today.
She hasn't been out so much.
Yeah, we could
just get lockdown, Meg. It's lockdown.
You've got a garden.
Oh, I don't. I have a yard.
Do you know what? Just to throw it in there, you know what I'm going to do now, don't you? Because I've got my little friend up on the wall. It's so relevant to what's going on right now. Right there, 1 minute. Right there.
We can't go anywhere.
Yeah, you probably don't know.
Turn your cameras off.
Don't, I can hear you. All right.
It's too slow.
I now wish that I'd had this on for the entire meeting, because that would have been far more relevant.
We end up getting blocked on social media.
Yeah, we just think that.
I've already been blocked on social media, so let's just see if we can get this one. But because I've not put it on till the end, I doubt anybody will have the patience to watch through an hour to get to this point. So those of you that did, don't get one of these.
Yeah, but it's always the most fun bit.
That's my.
You'll get a bit giddy at the end.
This is I mean business face. I mean business. That's what happens. So.
What did you say, Lindsay?
I was hoping my Pizza Hut was going to arrive whilst I was on the call.
Right. Chinese pizza. That's for next time. So can anyone see this schedule? What have we got coming up next? We're going to reschedule our We Wished For You meeting. So anyone that's on their adoption and fostering journey, we are going to reschedule that. So we'll still have a chance to invite you all along and have a bit of a chat about that.
So next Monday we have the Black Dog Project again at 2 o'clock. And next Tuesday in the morning we have the parents of children with additional needs.
Yep.
And at 7 o'clock we have the youth tribe.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Nathan's been in touch today. He's leading on that one, and he's asked if we've got any particular subjects that we want to cover. So let's put that out there. If anybody does have anything, just let us know and we can, we can throw that in. Fabulous. Fab stuff. Right, ladies, I'm going to let you all go now. And I'm going to go find out where my family are, because it's been very, very quiet for the last hour. Well, you got what? You got pizza on the way, haven't you?
I said don't call me a lady, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to call you.
I'm not a lady.
How dare you call me a lady? Yeah, so thank you very, very, very much. And have a think about what you fancy doing if we do another one of these. Is there any subjects? Do we invite anybody in to do a specific? Because I'm really interested in getting little mini TED Talks. Obviously not an hour's worth, but we'll do like maybe I don't know, half an hour or 15-minute quick TED Talks that we can put out there regularly, and podcasts once we've got that set up as a platform. And then I think that's just a different way for us to engage than we've done before. So that's the plan. Okay, right. Let me end the meeting, and I'll probably see you all on a message in the next 60 seconds anyway. If not, I'll be seeing you tomorrow anyway on Zoom. So thank you very, very much. Love you all. Keep on going and keep it moving.
I think I'm going to come away from the computer now, actually.
All right, yeah. Get away from the computer. It's too much now. Right, I'll see you all tomorrow.
See you later.
Bye.